on the show this morning.
Yeah.
Interesting timing. Downing Street. There's a lot of interesting conflicts in the way he addressed Ukraine's parliament, the first foreign leader to do, and possibly a tussle at the top, Jeremy Hunt. What do you make of it, Andrew?
Well,
SB on Twitter asked, can you ask the PM, this is obviously to Susanna when she's down there, obviously, don't they? They're not wrong to question it.
I think it's entirely...
Taxes,
I agree.
And they decide how they divvy it up. It's not like is this the right decision? £300 million might not sound like a lot to bring back the universal credit, £200 uplift. And
commit war crimes.
We are in a purdah period, so to give fair dealing back, isn't he?
And that will raise...
Some commentators might say that it could be a tipping point this week. We use that phrase loosely. And a bit of buyer's remorse over Boris has some strength in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just say that local elections are one thing and what happens in Parliament is separate. Actually, it features who will send those letters.
Yeah.
So there is a drip, isn't there?
We live in a new era.
Exactly.
I tell you what, I'd like to just have a quick chat about what happened over at the barracks. Now,
astonishing
this is
story.
utterly bizarre. Go in and say, excuse me, I'm a priest. I'm a friend of the padre of the barracks. Doing any checks, apparently. What an... tell us
It's got to be
around
yours.
Yes.
Back to winter. Look, can we...
That story that's on the front of the Times, because in a unit for newborn babies, patients having picture of some of the hospitals in the NHS in...
That's right.
England. Now, the Conservatives have been in power for 10 years. It was private finance initiative, which was about building hospitals through private finance. It was badly handled. It was very, very expensive, and it wasn't necessarily value for money. But at least out of this,
But we talked about Jeremy Hunt.
At Downing Street this morning here. In other news, Russian forces have allegedly began shelling the route that civilian convoys were using as part of the evacuation from the besieged city of Mariupol. It comes as cities across Ukraine, including the western seaport of Odessa, were targeted with airstrikes overnight. We'll be live in Kyiv shortly, but first, Lorna Shattuck has this report. How much support there is actually here in the UK and indeed internationally for them to win this war, whatever that win might look like in the end. So this morning, an extraordinary story that an intruder claiming to be a priest was alleged. Liverpool and Manchester City stand on the brink of securing another historic All-English Champions League final. Both football clubs won their first legs of their semi-finals. This evening, Liverpool's players, led by the charismatic manager Jurgen Klopp, will take on Spanish opponents Villarreal in a place for the final. Nick. First Lady Hillary Clinton joined New York's showbiz royalty for this year's Met Ball. That's the glamorous social event that's become famous for raising money for charity by raising the stakes in who will dare to wear the most outrageous creations at this year's attendees. Certainly didn't disappoint. Here's Noel Phillips, our North America correspondent.
Thank you, Rani. It's roughly approaching 6:20. Let's have a quick look at the weather with Laura. Could be worse. Susanna's getting lots of advice from you on what questions to put to the Prime Minister just after 8 o'clock. SB says, ask him why we can find £300 million for another country, obviously referring to this Ukrainian aid package, when Britain is on its knees financially. It is all actually about the economy, stupid. Ronnie says, Susanna, please get across how the cost of living crisis means we're having to choose between heat or eat. And there is much, much more of the same.
Always count on Susanna. She'll have all the right questions.
I don't think she'll be hanging
Stay
back.
Posted. We'll be live back to Downing Street shortly. Still to come on Good Morning Britain, though.
And the weather, wherever you're watching.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the front pages for you. The Sun newspaper says Maguire in the... The viewers are really keen to hear this interview. Thank you.
I have to say, just going back to what you were saying, I have two separate... But we're also joined by Dr. Hillary here in the studio. Hiya. I'm so glad you've come in today.
It's fashion's biggest night of the year, but which...
56, it's competition time. It's your chance to win £50,000, a brand new electric Mini and some holiday vouchers. Here's Michelle Ackley with all the details.